Hello, my lovelies! Podcast number one of the Elvis Presley Fans TCB podcast. I might shorten it when I'm talking to like the Presley podcast. Maybe. Don't know. Before we get started, hello. How are you? You better be good. If you're not, tell me why. We reached 37,000 on Facebook. Thank you. And I got something as a little celebration. But it only just came. So, it cost a fortune. And I wanted to share it with you. Because it's custom made. Are you ready? You can just see the craftsmanship that went into this. You have to be careful holding it. It's worth millions. Anywho. Have you got your life jacket? Are you jumping in? Because we're diving right in. So, this is a little get to know me. Some of your questions answered. And yeah, just a little get to know me for episode 1. So, the main question I get is obviously, how did I get into Elvis? And it's not your usual. It's not my parent. It's not my grandparents. It's fate and pain. So, when I was 5-year-old, I got growing pains. I was asleep in my slumber and I got growing pains. And my mum was downstairs and she was watching an Elvis special. Now, this was in 2001. So, I don't know if it was just a random or whatnot. So, I decided to toddle down the stairs to tell my mother that I couldn't sleep and that fixed me. And she was like, right, get the blanket on, over your head, go to sleep. So I was like, okay. Little did I know that my life, my personality, that was still developing, was going to change. Because I heard him. I heard Elvis. And that was it. I had to have a peek. I was like, who is that? And she was smirking and she was like, that's Elvis Presley. Do you like the look of him? Did I like the look of him? I was like, yes. Where is he? Because I want to marry him. And she said, he's passed away. And I instantly started crying. We watched the entire programme together. And that was it. The rest is history, as they say. So, the next day, obviously I went to school. Next day I was only 5-year-old. But I went up to my teachers. I was like, I love Elvis Presley. I was only a dot. I'm only 5 foot tall now. And they were just like, what? You know, a kid, especially like a little girl, loving Elvis in 2001 was crazy. So I got home and my mum took me to my nana's and she gave me 4 videos. I'll never forget. I've still got them. And it was Spin Out, Speedway, Jailhouse Rock, and Kissing Cousins. And I watched them over and over and over again. That was it. She gave me some cassettes. I think I was already on the CDs by then. But she gave me some cassettes. And I was just like, after that, I demanded a lunchbox, an Elvis lunchbox. And obviously, kids made fun of me. I've had that my entire life. But some of my friends got into him, especially my cousin, who was the same age as me. But yeah, that was it. My love for Elvis, he just caught me. My parents obviously thought it was going to be a phase, but I just stayed consistent, and I just absolutely loved him. I used to stand on the benches in the playground, do my little Elvis leg. My mum at parties would shout me down, "Come do your Elvis leg." Just silly stuff like that. And then when I was about 7, I see my first ETA, Mario Kumbu, who I still chat to. Still going to see. Seen him in October. But he was at the town hall. I'm from County Durham. And he was giving out scarves. But he was like in the audience, giving out scarves. And my mum was like, "Have you got one for her?" And he looked at me and went, "I haven't, I've run out." And we were like, "Okay." So he went back on stage and he was like, "Where's that little girl who wanted a scarf?" My mum was like, "She's there!" I'm there, like. And he was like, "Bring her up here." So we toddled to the stage and I'm just there like, "Hi." And he's like, "Come round." So we toddle up the stairs. Well, I do. My mum didn't come. And he put it on me and he sang The Wonder of You. And I was just there. And he gave me a little kiss on the cheek. I don't think I washed my cheek for like a month. My mum was like, "Wash your face, boy." So yeah, that was the start of the ETAs. Some people love them, some people hate them. I love them. I don't think I'd have been as much of a fan if it wasn't for ETAs and the work they do. And then we travelled to London, about 300 miles away, to go and see him in Jailhouse Rock in the West End. And I ended up backstage. I think my parents forced our way through. And all the people were taking pictures of me. They're like, "It's okay if I take a picture of your daughter?" And I'm just there like, So that was cute. And then a couple of years later, I ended up in the local paper and the local art gallery because a woman was doing an art course, a photography course. And she was doing it on Elvis and Elvis fans. So my mum got in touch with her, got around our house, and I had to sit on my bed with all my Elvis stuff and all my teddies and sit there smiling. Next thing I know, I'm in an art gallery, and it was quite sweet because she put the oldest fan and the youngest fan, me, next to each other. So I was 8 and she was in her 90s, and it was quite sweet. I still need to find them pictures because I don't know where they are. So yeah, that was a really sweet thing. And ever since, and then it was just thing after thing after thing. I remember the one where Elvis in concert, where Elvis is on a screen and had his original band, and I met a couple of them. Sweet Inspirations were there, and I think that was the first time I cried at a concert. And I was I'm sure it was in 2005, so I was 9. But even at 9-year-old, that man could move me like no other. He's still, for a lot of us, he just moves you. So that's my story of how I got into Elvis. It wasn't my parents, it wasn't grandparents, it was literally growing pains. Now, I'm not religious at all. But I do believe that he called me that night. He was like, right, listen, your mother's had two normal kids. Let's do it. And obviously now I've been to Graceland. We are an official Elvis Presley Enterprises fan club. And there's a story for you. When I was getting magazines delivered, a little leaflet came for an Elvis fan club. You know, you paid and you get weekly newsletters. And I was like, Dad, come on. And he was like, I'm not paying for you to get a letter. I said, fine. Stormed up the stairs. Screw you! I'll make my own fan club. And I remember his laughter. He said, you go for it, girl. How'd you like me now, Dad? Here we are. So, yeah, that was another thing. You know, and it's funny how Elvis changed my loyalty. Because me and my sister, still to this day, she's 3 years older. I'm the baby. Always shared a room. And obviously she got to the age where she wanted her own space. And I wasn't having it. I was like, absolutely not. You are not leaving me. And my mum said, what if I let you decorate Elvis? I went, bye sis! See you later! So my loyalty just switched to Elvis. And obviously I've collected all my life. You know, this room, by the way, it's just a work in progress. You know, it is going to look better. This is inspired by, obviously, Graceland peacocks. That's going to be my boyfriend's wall. I have to let him have summer. But yeah, it's going to look so much better. The mess, it's because I've just done some diamond art. Do you want to see what I'm doing? It's so glitzy. So pretty. I've got an idea with diamond art. Stay tuned. So yeah, it's just a few little stories of my path with Elvis, how I am the way I am. I've always said Elvis is the only man who'll never leave me. He's always been a consistent in my life. And yeah, I've got an important question for you at the end. Need your ideas and your input. Okay? So stay. Don't go. I hope you've got your cup of tea and you're comfy. So, that leads me on to my next question, which is off the lovely Becky White. Love her and her daughter. They always get involved on the page. It's amazing. And she asked me about my partner. And was he a fan? Or did I rub off on him? And a few people have asked me this actually. Today. Which is weird. Because it's podcast day! So excited. Now. This man knew who he was, but knew nothing, and I mean nothing about him. Like, he barely knew Love Me Tender. I'm sure he thought it was Love Me Brenda. Like, he really didn't have a clue. And obviously before we met, I told him that I wasn't a big Elvis fan. Don't think he was expecting, you know, what was in store. Because he walks into my living room, and as you all know, I've got a 6-foot statue, solid statue, in my living room. And he was just like, well, you weren't joking. And I was like, I don't do things by halves. Um, but very quickly watched the biopic, and he was like, wow. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a fan of somebody boring. And ever since then, he started asking me questions about him. I've had partners in the past, and it was always they put up with Elvis because of me, which I've always been fine with. I won't force him upon you or anything like that. But he really took an interest, and I was like, son of a bitch. So yeah. And then when I mentioned going to Graceland, I was like, for my 30th, I really want to go. It's been a dream for 25 years. And he was like, let's do it. And I was like, huh? And he was like, let's go. And I was like, are you crazy? And he was like, no, let's do it. And wow, I'll never ever get over it. It was amazing. I can do like a full video on that. For people who haven't been, who want to know what it's like, people who are planning, who want a bit more info, because you do ask me quite a lot of questions about Graceland, which is a given. It's understandable. So yeah, then we went to Graceland, and then when we came back, we watched some Elvis, and he was just like, he had tears in his eyes. He was like, we've been there. And I was like, now, if you've been on my page a long time, I'm quite emotional when it comes to Elvis. So I was already in bits. Like, we're in August, I went in April. And I haven't come to terms with it. It's just, it's insane. And knowing that I'm going to be back is even crazier work. But yeah, I think really what sealed the deal was epic. We went to the cinema in Newcastle. Shout out Newcastle. Yeah, we went to the opening night IMAX, and he walked out and he just said, wow. And I was like, do you see why I've been so excited? Incredible, seeing Elvis, because like some people just think, oh, it was just a concert. It was so much more. So yeah, I rubbed off on him. Obviously, you can't really escape him when it comes to me. But he kind of wanted it. He wanted, to know more. And now he sings them in the shower. If he's doing gardening, same thing. He's really became a fan, and not just a fan to make me happy. So that's the story of him, and how much he likes Elvis, and is it just me? He always says, I'll never be a fan like you. But out of everybody I know, he's pretty damn close. Pretty darn close! God, I wish I was American sometimes. I loved the accent when I was over there. Oh, I just want to live there. And then we have a question from Graham, asking my favourite Elvis song. Now, you know what it's like, people ask you that and you're like, ooh. I always say, keep the one that's got a place in your heart. And mine, tell you a little story, sure enough you'll understand. When my parents divorced, my dad couldn't just go down the road. I couldn't get 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays. No, he had to go to Germany. FYI, me and my dad are very close. We always make fun. But he went to Germany, and the song that I discovered was Just Pretend. And the lyric, I'll come flying to you again, just made sense. I was about 13. And I think it's amazing because you can just keep discovering Elvis songs. Like, there's so many. That's why with me quizzes and stuff like that, I'm like, don't worry if you don't know. Have fun and learn something. It's great. So the tat is healed very nicely. All for you guys. My first professional one. That's a different story. But if I'm feeling me gospel, Peace in the Valley, Chef's Kiss is that. So, yeah, if I want to kick a door off its hinges, Power of Me Love, probably. But Just Pretend is always the one that I just go back to every time. And I'm just watching them. You know, I wished it was an epic. Really badly. But obviously it wasn't. But still, what a film. Baz Luhrmann, you are a living legend. Also, a few people have asked me how I deal running a page on my own, without admins and things like that. Well, it's made me family's opinion on me change, because all they say now is like how ambitious I am. I'm like, if anything's going to motivate me, it's the king. I feel like this is what I was placed on this planet for. You know, I've got so many ideas for exciting things. You know, I'll be sharing every week. So yeah, stay tuned. But it's hard work. It's one of them. It's hard work, but you love it. You know, I lose sleep. I worry that I'm not keeping everybody happy. I am also an admin for a new page. In case you missed the post, it's run by the lovely Amanda. It's her group, and it's called Our Love for Elvis Presley. So get over there as well, because it's a lovely little group, you know. So yeah, started the page 10 years ago. We've reached 37,000 people. Never thought in my life I'd do it. And that is what, like, another thing, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that nothing's changing over on Facebook. It's going to be the exact same. Silly me dancing in my kitchen. You know, Dutch in every show, because I think he's the star. This is just an addition, but I want to make this big. I want to make this big. Let's go. You know, I've got everything in my sights. I've got this dream for Elvis. You know, he's still everywhere, for a man who thought he was going to be forgotten. You know, I was born 96, and I seen him in 2001. We're in 2026, and I'm sort of living my dream. To be honest, every day I wake up, and I'm like, what content can I create? You know, keeping Elvis relevant, his legacy alive, and all of that. It's fabulous. It's exciting. It's draining, but it's worth it. It's exciting. You know, I don't get nothing for it, and I love doing it. So I just want to make, you know, because there's something different. Never seen an Elvis podcast, so I just want to make this big. And just all part of it. You know, I do want to have guests. It's not just going to be me talking all the time. I want to have guests. I want literally every podcast is going to be what yous want. You know, every now and then, it's just like an announcement I've got. Then I'll do a podcast on me just talking. But it was like, I was so scared, because I was like, they've seen me, but they've seen me miming. I don't think you've, apart from me radio shows, you've never actually heard me. And now hearing and seeing me, you know, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. But then I thought, it's literally just me talking to myself in my office, which I'm going to call the den. I think is a good idea. So yeah, I've got loads of ideas for the podcast. You know, come over, join us. It's going to be exciting. So I think that about wraps it up. This is a bit of a shorter one. They will get longer. This was just a little get to know me. So hopefully you like it. But obviously with it being August, we've got in 2 days, we've got Gladys's anniversary. And then 2 days after that, we've got Elvis's. And I'm wondering, do I do a little video? One for each? One in the middle on the 15th? You know? Because I'm going to get a podcast out here every week. Wednesday every week is what I'm planning. Get you over hump day! Do you know what I mean? Get out! And then we can chill. And also, the other question is, live streaming. Is that something you would want? Let me know down below. And yeah, that's about it really. Wraps it up quite nicely. You have gotten to know a bit more about Bryony. That's my name, Bryony. Also known as Elvis Girl. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been a bit of fun, you know. Little half an hour, get to know Bri. Like I said, this is going to be unfiltered, just me, you know, no cuts, no. The only cut will be is Dutch that convinced me I'm getting bagelled, because he likes to do that at least 12 times a day. So yeah, you can take your life jacket on. We have got back to show. But as always, take care of business, take care of Bryony, and she'll take care of you.